have shepherded over have turned against me. They have broken the holy covenant between me and you. They have whored themselves with idols, whom they have crafted with thine own hand, and they have bowed themselves and worshipped these abominations. They have said, blessed be these idols, whom have led and provided for them 1,000 years. Since they have done this thing and taken my blessing and given it to the idols, my wrath is poured out upon the whole world. A decrepit sickness has been unleashed into the world, for all of their wickedness and worshiping death. They shall become decrepit things, spreading death. This is my judgment on all those who transgress my laws and who have defiled my covenant. Death. Death. But not for you and your brother. You shall stay here in my holy mountain as I test the entire world to see if they shall serve me or choose death. I have spoken, so shall it be.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Word of the Most High Yah. I'm your host, Priest of the Most High, Lucifer D. Lambew. And today we're once again in the book of Deuteronomy, and we'll be covering Yah is Yah is God, and there is no one else besides Him. We're also going to be covering, Yah willing, Yah loved our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and why He chose us. And how the earth, and how the Most High gave Israel the earth forever. Okay, now to get started on that, recruits, turn with me to chapter 4, Deuteronomy chapter 4. We're going to read verses 35 and 39. Before I get to that, I just want to let all you recruits know this is again the book of Deuteronomy. It's the last book of the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible. To the best of my knowledge, and so you know this is a very exciting end of that 4 or 5 books towards beginning. So let's go ahead and dive right into it, get right into this. Again, let's start off at chapter 4, read verse 35 and 39. Alright, so verse 35. Unto thee it was showed that thou mightest know that the Lord, He is God. There is none else besides Him. Okay. That means the Most High is he's sovereign, right? He doesn't have to he doesn't have to ask permission to do anything. He is the Most High God. There is none higher than him, right? And besides him, there is no God, in the sense of he's the one who gives power and authority. He's the one who gives dominion. He's the one who gives the abilities to angels, fallen angels, devils, people, spirits. He's the creator of heaven and earth and everything in between. So there's no other God, so to speak, no other creator of heaven and earth. There's no real competition for him. Everything goes through him. Like you'll be learning, if you haven't seen it yet, in the book of Job, and you'll be learning in other different books that y'all willing to have the opportunity to go through, or that you can go through your own self-study, right, recruits? But the Most High is the one who gives power and authority. That's why it's so much obvious deception when all these people that you meet on those street corners try to push a religion, try to push Catholicism, Christianity, try to push Islam, try to push Hinduism, all those other religions that were made that are made by men, right? Because as the Most High says in his word, those other nations were given demons to basically play as gods. But they don't have their own dominion in terms of their own self-sustaining power. They get what they got from the Most High. And you may ask, recruit, why would the Most High put demons over the other nations, every nation other than, of course, Israel, and give them these false gods? The scriptures say or allude to the fact that he wanted them the hell away from him. I mean, there really is. I mean, I'm sure there's other ways to say it, but that's the most straightforward path. He wanted them the heck away from him. He wasn't interested in them. The scriptures say that the Gentiles are less than spittle. That's what the scriptures say. And he didn't do so with Israel because he himself chose to be the God of Israel. Right? What happened when Abraham was getting time to give his blessings to his son Isaac? What did he do? You remember, recruit? He basically separated Isaac from all of his other children, with the concubines and the others that he had children with. He separated them. Basically, he took out all the other children that he had with these other concubines or whatnot, and gave them gifts and sent them away. So by giving them gifts and sending them away, he made the covenant. He made the promise with Isaac. And see, that's what the Most High did with himself, in a sense of he separated Israel from all the other nations, gave all the other nations their gifts, which is vis-a-vis these demons, these gods that are over them, that they pray to and that listen to their prayers or listen to their desires, and basically beguiles them on a daily basis, right? And he gave the real blessing. He gave the real, the real heritage, the real transfer over to Israel, by he himself being the God of Israel, by he himself listening to the righteous prayers of Israel, by he himself being the strength of Israel. So the same thing he taught Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob to do, which is by separating the seed that would be to get the promise, is the same thing he himself does. And you'll find that, all the stuff that the Most High taught the children of Israel that we're gonna research. We researched in the last 4 books. We're gonna research in this book as well. The law, statutes, and commandments. All those things that he taught Abraham, and he taught Isaac, and he taught Jacob, and he taught Moses. All those things he himself does in various different ways, right? I mean, before mankind started to observe the Sabbath day, which is the rest on the 7th day, he himself rested on the 7th day, right? It's a testament to the kind of leadership that the Most High has, his type of leadership style. His leadership style, in many different ways, is to be willing to do that which he asks others to do, right? He asked Abraham to sacrifice his son Isaac to prove his devotion for the Most High. Ultimately, Abraham didn't have to sacrifice his son. The Most High stopped him. But he himself sacrificed his son, Yeshua, for the sins of all Israel. So he asked Abraham to do something, but he didn't ask Abraham to do anything that he himself wasn't willing to do. Right? He asked Abraham to separate his children. It was the Spirit of the Most High that gave him the inclination to separate his children, and that the promise would go to Isaac, right? And not Ishmael, for instance. And yet, the Most High does the same thing when it comes to the other nations. He separates the other nations so that the blessing of being the inheritance of the Most High would go to Israel, and not say, the Egyptians or any of these other, the Edomites, the Amorites, the Moabites, any of these other nations. So the very same thing that he is, that he tasks us to do, and that he teaches us to do, is in various different ways the same thing that he himself does, right? How we say we teach what we know? Well, he teaches what he knows. He teaches us his nature. So it doesn't just come from nowhere. It doesn't just come from left field, right? He says, for instance, he taught us in the Old Testament an eye for an eye, right? And then here it comes in the New Testament, where it goes in the book of Revelations, and you'll see it, y'all willing, or you'll do your own personal study and you'll find it, where he says that those who led into captivity must go into captivity. Those who kill with the sword must be killed by the sword. That's basically an eye for an eye. Basically, that's what it is. And he's saying that in Revelation. So he's saying that after the New Testament. So basically, as the Most High says in his word, he ain't changed. He's the same today, yesterday, and forever. Now, of course, Yeshua, there's some subtle differences between the Most High and Yeshua. Yeshua, he came to teach the part that would be best understood by us in captivity. And that part that he taught was that basically forgive your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. And that's not necessarily the eye for an eye, but it goes completely with the eye for an eye, in the sense that the eye for an eye takes power to do. It's the subtle difference between, say, racism and prejudice, right? So-called Negroes, in truth, in this society, can't be racist because they don't have power. They can't deny somebody food, water, shelter, a good job because of their race. They can't really do jackety squat to any of these other nations as a nation, based solely on their race. So they have no power. Therefore, they can't really truly be racist. But now prejudice, which just basically means choosing one thing over another, having preferentialness, the ability to have favorites, right? It doesn't require power. So yes, they can be prejudiced. I've been accused of being prejudiced. I've been accused of being racist too, but it's more true about prejudice. Yes, I am prejudiced, but not racist. Now, people get prejudiced and racism mixed up, because they fail to see the power element, right? If I chose an apple over an orange, if I like apples better than oranges, I'm prejudiced against oranges. I like apples, but I hate oranges. Or if I like oranges and not apples, I'm prejudiced against apples, but I love oranges, right? You can choose, that's part of nature. But again, racism, it has a power element to where you can deny that person certain goodies, certain privileges in society based on their race. Now, of course, just to say, in all truth, when the Most High comes back, or when the Most High reveals himself and readjusts the world to the way that it's supposed to be, then Yah willing, a brother's going to be more than racist, right? When the so-called Negroes are on the top, when the Jews of Scripture retakes command as the leadership tribe, not only of Israel but of the world, there's not going to be a word to describe their selectiveness, because they will have the ability to choose one person over another person based on race, and they'll have the power to give benefits and to give rebuke depending on what their decision is. So there's not even going to be a word in the recognized language of today of what they're going to be. It's going to be far beyond racist, so to speak. But again, there's a lot of people who get those two terms mixed up, racism and prejudice. And they're going to the Strong's dictionary and all the other places trying to figure out, but they don't get the subtle difference, right? The nuances, so to speak. And that nuance is power. Recruits? Okay. Verse 39. Know therefore this day and consider it in thine heart, that the Lord, he is God in heaven above and upon the earth beneath. There is none else. So again, the Bible drives home the fact that even these demons and so forth that the Most High has put over all these other nations, right? That play God, even though they're not. They're actually literally working for the Most High, right? Because it's His will that these other nations not have a direct relationship with Him, not have a direct mano-y-mano, his mouth to their ear relationship. So He has these middlemen set up. He has these arbitrators set up. He has these, dark ambassadors, for lack of a better term, set up that play or portray themselves as God, even though they're not. But by Him even saying up above and down below, He's basically saying that even in hell, right? Those people running hell, those people running even the most darkest places, they're not God. They work for the Most High. They're given their power and authority by the Most High and none other. And as long as they're fulfilling His plan, as long as they're fulfilling His orders, then they would keep their authority for the time that He's given it to them for. But it isn't forever. But He's declaring in this that it does in fact come from Him, right? So I know there's somebody out there with some delusions of grandeur, and misconception of what the Most High is, who's just fainting right now, who's just going whoa right now, who's just having a brain aneurysm right now, because they're coming to the realization that that even evil in the world, even demonic forces in the world, all work for the Most High. Of course they work for the Most High. Now, of course, there's some of His servants, slaves, these spirits that do better work than others, but they still work for Him. They don't work for themselves. They got no kingdom to offer anybody. They got no dominion of their own to offer anybody. Everything they've been given from the Most High, and all of it has a time stamp on it. All of it is temporary. So the whole game is mind-nuking and delusionifying their people and believing that they are God and believing that they do have power in and of themselves, right? Because surely any of those people if they knew that what they were dealing with was a devil and not really the Most High, if they knew that it didn't lend to nothing else but hell and hellfire and the eternal death of their soul, if they knew that it would all end in pain and suffering and there's nothing that they could do to ever change that once they're in hell, then it's only logical, it's only spiritually logical that they wouldn't want any piece of that. So rule number one for these demons is to do their would-be, wannabe a god, trick well, to make their people really do believe that they're on the winning side when they're not. The Most High is saying it right here. He's letting everybody know right here. He's not letting everybody know it in terms of like every human being on the planet. The scriptures were made for Israel, right? The scriptures was made for the so-called Negroes as the king's tribe. They were made for the Levites as the Levitical order, the priesthood. It was made for Israel, right? So that we would know what was behind the curtain. We would know who these other nations were really praying to, who these other nations' gods really were, what they were really doing when they were celebrating their pagan holidays, their pagan feast days, their child sacrifices, their Halloweens, and dressing up as demons and whatever. That we would know what they were doing and then know not to have any part of it, right? But see, Israel's been rebellious, and that's partly one of the biggest reasons why we went into this 400-year captivity, the idolatry, the chasing after these other nations and whatever not. When right here in black and white, in the scriptures that was given to Moses on Mount Sinai, given to our people, the Most High was clear and animate about not following after these other nations because they're ran by demons, right? And the things that the demons do and have their nation do is deplorable to the Most High. That's part of what he was talking about when he was basically saying that he wasn't interested in them, and he put those demons over them so that they would be away from him. And by doing all these demonic, deplorable things, they are separated from him even more so. So it's working like a charm, right? But see, by the transgression of Israel, the other nations were given a chance. Right? It's written that Israel was partly blinded so that the number of Gentiles, a certain select number of Gentiles, could come in. Because if Israel was never blinded, man, if we was just doing what the Most High wanted us to do and not sitting and going off or whatnot, there would be no chance for these other nations. No chance at all. We would have the book, we would have the law, statutes, and commandments, and they wouldn't get a chance to even see it. They wouldn't get a chance to even see what was behind the curtain. Because we went off, thus entered the age of the Gentiles. That's a lot of information to recruit, but again, you've been studying now the first 5 books of the Bible, and you've been doing, y'all willing, personal study upwards into the scriptures or whatnot. So, your palate should be prepared for such meat. If it be meat to you, it be meat to you. If you spiritually can't discern it yet, if you spiritually can't eat it yet, if you spiritually can't keep it down, then don't worry about it. Praise be to Yah. That'll come later. Yah willing. But for those to whom it is meat, it is meat. Okay. The next item we're going to be talking about is how Yah loved our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and that's why he ultimately chose their seed. Turn with me to I'm still in chapter 4. This time I'm going to read verses 36 through 38. Let's see if we can get that. Okay, verse 36. Out of heaven he made thee to hear his voice, that he might instruct thee, and upon earth hath showed thee his great fire, and thou heardest his words out of the midst of the fire. And because he loved thy fathers, therefore he chose their seed after them, and brought thee out in his sight with his mighty power out of Egypt, to drive out nations from before thee, greater and mightier than thou.
Now is the time, O Israel,
to make your choice. Come back to serving the God of Israel in spirit and in truth while there's still time. The Most High has sent his servants to guide you in his ways. Put your faith in Yahshua HaMashiach, for this is the way, O Israel, walk therein. Or choose the world to your peril. Choose wisely, but be not lukewarm. For in that day, for those of you who are lukewarm, he will spit you out of his mouth, and there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So choose, and choose now. Art to bring thee into to give thee their land for an inheritance, as it is this day. So see, he's blowing the whistle on his plans to the children of Israel, right? Not only did he give these other nations these false these demons that basically perpetrated as false gods. Not only did he give them that, he also said that he brought us and he's with us so that we would drive them out of their land. So again, that proves the whole, it was only for a time limit that I was talking to you about earlier, right? Because how did the Israelites drive them out of their lands? They killed them. They killed men, women, and children often. They burned their livestock. They burned their idols. They burned their churches, their synagogues, their holy places. They burned it all up in fire. And they got them out of there by the edge of a sword. Right? They got them out of there by the edge of the sword. So they had the space in which they had time to be in the land where they were being guided by this demonic force that the Most High put over them was only so and so, right? But then he utilized Israel to come back around and to get them out of that land, and some of them got totally annihilated, having nothing left. Others were able to wiggle, squeak out, and whatever, whatnot. Right? But again, this is exactly the reason why you can't get the truth from no other people other than the children of Israel, other than the so-called Negroes out there on the street corners and in the back room pushing this truth, right? Because no other nation's going to tell you the truth about how they're ran by demons. No other nation's going to tell you the truth. They don't have the spirit of the truth in them, right? The scriptures were made for us. The scriptures was made for you, recruit. This is your heritage. This is my heritage. This is our heritage. And you're only going to get the truth through us, through the men of God who have the Spirit of the Most High on them to tell you the truth, right? This is high-ranging fruit, recruit. And you just fell right on into it. Final book of the Torah, baby. So you would lack nothing. Y'all willing, right? It is written that my people die for lack of knowledge. So all those the Torahite people and all those people who claim to be so interested in the Torah, you lack nothing that they know, because the first 5 books of the Bible, the Torah, so to speak, we're going over. We're going over that right here and right now. This is the last book of the Torah. Praise be to God. So you're going to have, y'all willing, for those of you who have the Spirit and the truth, who's come back to the Most High, law, statutes, and commandments, the Spirit and the truth, and who are, and do their due diligence in terms of studying for the renewing of your mind with this word. For those of you who the Most High has chosen to understand and to have the understanding and have applied it to your lives, you get a tempo. You're gonna get a tempo with this training, with this Word of Yah series that you're not gonna be. That's very rare, right? You're not gonna be able to find dang near anywhere else, unless of course you're watching the Word. Unless of course you're watching Lambew's Bible Study Series hosted by Priest of Most High Sakuma Z. Lambew, right? But the Most High has something special on this series. His spirit is. We all have that one spirit with the Most High, but it affects people differently, right? In the body, there are many different parts, and people have their strengths and weaknesses. Some this or that, and others that or this. This series is geared towards street ministry, doing the work in spirit and in truth, planting the seeds, and watching the Most High, do His thing, right? Because the Spirit of God, the Spirit of the Holy Ghost, that is what nurtures these seeds that we're planting in the ground, or that we're throwing. Actually, we're not even planting them; we're just throwing them. We're throwing them on gravel. We're throwing them on the gutter. We're throwing them in, on good ground. Some of them. We're throwing them on concrete. Right? The Word of the Most High Yah series teaches you how to throw it. Just how to just check it. Right? How to do the work. So that this being the season of sowing, in the season of reaping, you might not be found empty. You might have in the season of reaping as well. So there it is. The Most High chose us not because of ourselves, but also because He loved our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Loved them so much, He promised that He would be with their seed, always. And He has been. Now, He's chastised us like a loving father, and His chastisement has not been slack. That much is for darn sure. But it is as a loving father. And it is with love that He does all that He has done to us and through us, and all that He will do to and through us. In love. For as it is written, God is love. And love is of God. For Israel. Remember, because the scriptures were written for Israel. You know, if Israel never went off, these other nations, they wouldn't even have the opportunity to be sitting here listening to the word of the Most High Yah. This stuff was behind the curtain stuff for Israel, right? And what did we read in the previous books, where the Most High said, if any Gentile should go behind the curtain or whatever, basically that's guilty of death. He wasn't interested in Gentiles approaching Him, in speckled sheep approaching, and speckled and broken, and anything that He doesn't beseech to come near. You know, only the Levites and Israel. But see, again, by Israel's transgression, and the number of Gentiles is getting filled. That through Yeshua and through the ministry of the 12 disciples, namely Paul and Peter, you know, there's a certain amount that's coming in through that. Now again, this is high-ranging recruit, and a lot of that hasn't been revealed in layman's term in the first 5 books of the Bible so far, but we have gone over some of it. And again, you have to have spiritual eyes to see it. So if it be meat for you, it's meat for you. That understanding. And if it doesn't be meat for you, if the Most High hasn't revealed that through your study and through this as of yet to you, then no worries. But it will be, it is available, and it has been revealed. And for those that get that lesson, praise the Most High, you'll have the understanding. Y'all will. All right. So let's move on. The earth is for Yah gave Israel the earth forever. If you turn with me, I'm still on chapter 4 this time. I'm going to be reading verse 40. I'm also going to read chapter 7, verse 7 and 8. So first, verse 40, and it says, "Thou shalt keep therefore His statutes and His commandments, which I command thee this day, that it may go well with thee, and with thy children thy children after thee, and that thou mayest prolong thy days upon the earth, which the Lord thy God giveth thee forever." So who did the Most High give the earth to? Well, who is He talking to? Who was Moses talking to? Moses is talking to the Israelites. So God gave the earth for the Israelites forever. Right? And how do they prolong their time on the earth? How do they basically bring down the blessing that the Most High is, through Moses, telling them about right now, that you're hearing right now? Through following God's laws, statutes, and commandments. That's how it happens. And that's the truth as well, recruits, with all of you who are studying the Word of the Most High series and doing personal study to show yourself approved. That's some of the definers for you as well, right? Those of you who follow God's law, statutes, and commandments to the best of your ability will bring work. That will work to bring in the focus that relationship with Him, and ultimately the promises. Right? in faith. So it's carnal in the sense that he's talking to our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He's talking to the Israelites through Moses, who were there, all of which has since been laid in the ground. But it's spiritual meat for you to understand he's talking to you. That's why he said the word forever. This isn't just for yesterday. This isn't just for the past. It isn't just for a bunch of people's bones in the grave. This is for today, yesterday, and forever. Thank you. Thank you. I can't read. Let him go.
You should have killed me. You should have killed me, boy. You should have killed me. I'm gonna get you. Get you. Hey, you little bitch of boy.
It's real. You must focus. You must allow your weapon to become a part of you. So, the Most High was giving us our ancestors the blueprint to how to bring down His promises, how to act and what to do in order to be to fulfill our end of the bargain to the best of our ability, and that is to follow God's law, statutes, and commandments to the best of our ability. Right? That is to have faith in Him. To serve Him in truth and sincerity, truth and spirit, truth and fire. Us and us only. Because that's who He gave the scriptures to, right? That's who He gave it to. He gave it to Moses on Mount Sinai, the Ten Commandments. He gave it to the Israelites, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Judah, and Judah, and all the 12 tribes, all their seed. So that's who He wants to have this information. All right, recruits? And it wasn't just for the past. It's forever. It's forever. No wonder, even after this 400 years of, almost 400 years of captivity, and slavery here in Babylon, the children, the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is coming out and returning back to God's law, statutes, commandments to the best of their ability. No wonder, because he loved our fathers, is why he has stirred the spirit in us to walk in his way. He stirred the spirit in us to have the faith that they had not. And that's the huge difference between those of us of Judah in this captivity who have returned back to the Most High's law, statutes, commandments to the best of their abilities, and those who still refuse. Huge difference between the 2/3, the 1/3, and the 144,000. 12,000 here of Judah is faith and election, whom the Most High has drawn near, whom the Most High has given, of himself to, in terms of the ministry, in terms of, the word, in terms of the faith that we have. None of this stuff is our own. Everything has been given by the Most High for the Most High purposes, right? And if that be meat for you, it is because the Most High has put it in your heart to be able to digest it. And if it's not, it's because he hasn't. But make no mistake, I recruit, it is me. And it is the truth. And it is substance. It is, everlasting life, walk forever. Praise be now.
If you aren't subscribed to the Lambew YouTube channel, Sakuma 08, then you don't know what you are missing.
Next one I think is gonna be what? Number five. So, King of the Fly. But until then, we will see you again next time. All right. Okay, let's go ahead and move on, recruit. All right, let's go to chapter 7, and we're going to read verses 7 and 8. Chapter 7, and we're going to read verse 7 and 8. And it goes as follows. The Lord did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, because ye were more in number than any people, for ye were the fewest of all people. But because the Lord loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he had sworn unto your fathers, hath the Lord brought you out with a mighty hand, and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen, from the hand of the Pharaoh, king of Egypt. You see, this is extremely important, that you're not gonna learn anywhere else from any other people. The Most High chose us not because we were a great people, right? I hear that all the time. I'm sure many of you hear that all the time, sometimes too, online and dealing with these other nations. How Edomites are always saying that the Most High wouldn't be interested in us. You know, we're on the bottom. We're so lowly. We're a lowly race. Our people are few in number, and all the things that they say, many of the things that they say, that the Most High wouldn't be interested in us because of that. He's saying with his own mouth, you know, that has nothing to do with why he chose us, right? The so-called Negroes is only 13% of the population here in America, aka Babylon, a place where we've been since damn near since it began, right? We've been here since the year 1619. There's no reason why we wouldn't be a more huger, more dominant population in America, aside from the curses of Israel, aside from, of course, Planned Parenthood killing 1 out of every 2 of our babies, aside from the supplicant white man, Edomites in scripture, lynching, killing, gunning us down in the streets, gunning our children in the streets. Their constant assaults and everything else keep us small in number, but that's just the carnal. In the spirit, the Most High has set the bounds. He said that we'd be few in number. That's what the Most High just had me reaching. That we'd be few in numbers, right? He chose us because of our ancestors, because of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and because he made a promise to them that he would be with their seed, right? Their seed, their descendants, forever. And the Most High keeps his promises. He chose us, we didn't choose him, right? And he chose us because he chose our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So that's what it takes. You can't be in if you're not part of the lineage of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Nor, of course, is being part of the lineage of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and yet still rejecting the Most High, and rejecting his truth, and rejecting his law, statutes, commandments, and so forth and so forth. The scriptures do say that the flesh profit you nothing, and that's what it's referring to amongst Israel. between one Israelite and another Israelite, the flesh profits them nothing, because the one Israelite that follows God's law, statutes, commandments, follows His law, statutes, and commandments, has faith in the Most High, has faith in His Son Yeshua, He's going to bring down those promises that we went over earlier. He's going to bring down, that and work with that relationship with the Most High. The Most High gave us all this information. He gave it to us for a reason. As it is written, my people die, or my people perish for lack of knowledge. So knowledge is important. It has value. With faith. Faith was the reason why, a lack of faith, shall I say, was the reason why our ancestors that left Egypt, that seen the Most High's wonders in Egypt, and left Egypt, died in the desert. They died in the desert for lack of faith. So all these things matter. Faith and knowledge, fear of the Most High, they matter. And again, the Most High is stating through Moses why He chose Israel. That He chose Israel because He loved our forefathers, and it was out of His love and relationship and faithfulness to our forefathers that He's even dealing with us. And it's amazing that He's even letting us know that through the scriptures, because if we've done all this stuff, our ancestors done all this stuff going off and just going buck wild, all this stuff that they've done, and and because of His faithfulness to our forefathers, He literally said He'd deal with us forever, and He has, and He continues to do so. But look at how huge of a commitment that was. But see, that's the difference between these other nations. They don't have that kind of commitment. That's why He says about them that they're less than spittle, because they go off. Not only did He give them demons to rule over them, right? But say one of them or some of them change or try to change and try to come under this truth, because this truth has been available, right? Because Israel has gone off. The Most High said that there's a certain number of the Gentiles that are going to come in because of that, which is also part of His plan. It says that in the New Testament under the preachings of Peter and Paul, right? But say one of them or some of them or whatever will not go back to their old ways or do this other stuff. I mean, there's no safety net, right? There's no safety net for that, because again, they're less than spittle. If the road for us is narrow, can you imagine the road for them? If Israel is scarcely saved, can you imagine how it's going to be for them? Some of them will make it, because that's what the scriptures say. Again, this is high-ranging fruit, recruits. But it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be, it's going to be in its due measure. But the reason why the Most High is dealing with us is because of our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So when those people tell you that lineage don't mean nothing, they're lying. When those people tell you that the flesh profit you nothing, in the sense of trying to say that the Most High ain't interested in you, they're lying, because they hate your lineage. They have a lineage. Every nation on earth have a lineage, has a heritage, has a land, and so do you. It matters to them, or they wouldn't bother calling themselves Japanese or Chinese, right? Or Korean. They just say Asian. If it didn't matter where they came from, they just say Asian. They just say slanty-eyed Asian. But they don't. They tell you where they come from because they want to make distinctions, because distinctions have value. They don't want, a Japanese person don't want to be mistaken for a Korean or a Chinese. They don't want to be mistaken for somebody else because they value who they are. So for them trying to use our scriptures against us, to try to make it seem as, where it says the flesh profits you nothing, that means it's okay for you not to know who you are. That means it's okay for you not to have a distinction between you and the next person with melanin. It's okay for you to have no understanding of where you come from, because it says right here, the flesh profits you nothing. They're lying to you. Right? If they see the value in their heritage, and the Most High says it's their heritage, that the Gentiles is less than spittle, then how much more should we value our heritage when the Most High says that we are the inheritance, that we are His inheritance, that we are His chosen people, that He is our God? Think about it. Right? If the little bit that they get, and they are vanity and they're boastful and they're all over their heritage, and they're less than spittle. They got a little bit, and yet the children of the Most High toss their heritage as if it's nothing, as if it's worthless, as if it's meaningless. Right? So that's why it's important, recruit, for you to study to show yourself approved, and for you to continue in the way and and researching the scriptures and learning the scriptures, because in that way you put value in your heart, in your mind, to your lineage and to the truth. All right, recruit. Well, that's it for now. Thank you for watching The Word of the Most High Yah. I'm your host, Priest of the Most High, Lucifer D. Lambew. And as it is written, of course, no man liveth by bread alone, but by the very word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Most High. All right? So, keep studying, keep out there on those street corners, pushing this truth, helping, assisting the waking up of your brethren, the lost sheep of the 12 tribes of Israel, precisely and specifically Judah, the so-called Negroes here in Babylon, aka America. All right? Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you again next time.
It's not just true, actually. What they were called is, they were whitewashed. Okay. During the Renaissance period of time, they basically took, the conquering nation basically took the image of Christ, which, maybe you know, maybe you don't know, is a black man. And in Revelation they tell you what color he is, because it tells you that. And they made him look white, and they made the Bible look white. What color is that? Jews are an olive color. Do you know what the word Jew comes from? Yeah, what the word Jew comes from? What's the word Jew short for? But you know that they're olive color, but you don't know what the name of them comes from. I'll answer that question. The name of Jews comes from the house of Judah. And the house of Judah, incidentally, of the Negroes here in America. We are from the house of Judah as put forth in the truth. There is nothing scriptural that tells us it's okay that you don't agree with it, because truth is truth whether you want to accept it or not. If you don't believe, I know that, that's why I'm listening. That's why I'm tolerating you. You don't have to tolerate me, because it's not my truth. It's the truth of the Bible, the very book that you say you represent. You can say to yourself, I don't believe this aspect, I don't believe that aspect, but you're not going against me, you're going against the very book that you say you're here to preach, teach, and show us. Because they told me, I didn't write that, I'm not the author of that. I'm not one of your church. The author of that. I'm not a church. Yeah, I'm not one of your students. I'm a teacher, so I'm a okay, you understand that? Okay, so you say that you're a teacher. Fine, so when you say you're a teacher, yes, the question is this. In your mind, as a teacher, this is the question in your mind. Sure, but if you're a teacher, then you're here to teach. So how can you teach if you can't answer questions which potential students may ask you? You're a teacher, so could you teach the $1 million question that's on the hearts and minds of the Negroes in this country, which is where they come from? It's in your